Hello, welcome. My name is Amber. This is my channel, A Foxglove's Handiwork. I am in a new location. I'm excited to share some of it with you. It's not quite done. I want to do a big reveal once I have the space completely how I envisioned. But I am up in my attic. The previous owners of my house refinished it, which is awesome. And I've had dreams of creating it my craft space. And so I started that. Video coming soon. Not a complete before and after because I already had stuff up here and then I was like, oh, I should have done some befores. But you know what? Sometimes when you're in the mood, you just gotta go with the energy. One thing I was noticing is as I was going through stuff and kind of organizing, so that was part of kind of when you move, my pins for sewing are not super convenient. I've had them in this little jar that was once upon a time pesto. It's kind of scratched out. And the reason I put them in this jar was because the little plastic box that they originally came in broke. So I wanted something sturdier. And it contains them, right? But as I was like finding pins on the ground from just like carrying stuff up here, I would have a pin, like here's an example. Like I have a pin and this was like packed away and I was like, well, I have to like unscrew it, then put it in, screw it. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to make a pin cushion. This works fine. I just dump it out on the table because reaching in, you know, kind of careful. I poke myself. And I started doing some research online on Pinterest of different types of pin cushions and it's something I've thought about, like a little hedgehog or a tomato, right? Those are kind of the quintessential ones. But I really wanted a base on my pin cushion, something to secure it, not secure to the ground, but like something that it had some weight to it. And there's some really cool pictures or inspirations of like taking a little mason jar, not too dissimilar from this, where it has the rings. And so then you can unscrew it and there's like safety pins in here. And then on the top is the pin cushion. I don't have any of those, but I thrifted this little jar, kind of vase from Goodwill. It is brass, and I thought that would be a cool pin cushion. It's kind of larger, but I think it'd be really decorative. So this is a Thrift Flip pin cushion video. This is not necessarily a how-to video as I am experimenting. And so this might be a learn from my mistakes video. I need to pick out some fabric. And luckily my fabric is nicely organized now. And I picked out a few fabrics that I think would go nicely with the brass. And also just fabrics I want to see. I think I tend to collect fabric. And they're so special and they're so sweet. But then they get like stowed away and I don't use them. So using this as an opportunity to use some of those really cute fabrics. I kind of like the blue, right? That would look really nice. An important note is that my pins have colored little balls on it. So envisioning the colored balls, the blue with the brass, that could work. I also have this groovy fabric, which is kind of a green. That could work. This beautiful, very light. I really like this fabric, but it definitely feels very springtime. And I want a fabric that will stay throughout the year. And then there's this fabric that I have quite a bit of. That is a Liberty. Oh, maybe it's not Liberty, but it's very similar, right? It has those like beautiful details. It's beautiful. So there, you can kind of imagine it. I'm gonna go with this fabric because I think it's just beautiful. I will get to see it with all my little push pins. Now the next step is figuring out how to make a cushion that will be secured to this brass vase. I could use hot glue because the hot glue, I could pull it off, right? If I don't use like a Gorilla, like super strong. But I'm not thrilled about that idea. And so I was envisioning, right, there's a lip here. And so last night, as I was laying in bed thinking about this project, I envisioned having some sort of wire that would either curl and like hook onto it, or could be kind of like spring loaded. So like I could kind of squeeze it, not spring, but kind of push it together, put it in the vase, and then it would open up once it was in, and then that would be enough. Yeah, so we're gonna play around. What I'm planning on using for this project, I'll need some scissors, thread, some sewing needles, the fabric that I picked out, some fabric for kind of the inner lining, and then some fluffy stuff. I'm using a polyfill because that's what I have. So yeah, using what I have. I have never made a pincushion before, and so I think these are the materials that I will need. We're gonna play and find out. I also need wire for my idea, so I'm gonna find some wire. I need to make a circle of this liner cloth. So I'm gonna use this vase as my template. And since this will be inside, I'm not too worried about the marks. Now this is a circle shape, but it needs to be bigger than that circle because this fabric is going to wrap around. So maybe I go like this. Voila, kind of see that? Here's my circle. I'm going to take some floof and put it in the middle. But then I just had a thought, if I stitch around the edge of the circle, then I can tighten it and it'll close around the floof. I like that idea. However, since I'm here, before I dive into that, here's kind of my floof, or my cushion, and I can get a sense of what this might look like in here, sort of. I'm okay with the lip. I'm okay with this lip. Okay, that is working. So before I completely close it, I'll put in my fluff. And I do believe this is how those yo-yo quilts are made, which I think are darling. Future project. Okay, fluff. Pack it in there. I think the benefit of pre-sewing, my knot's not holding up, okay. Benefit of doing the stitches first is that it creates, it's kind of like a fitted sheet. It helps to create the container. And then once I kind of hold it, then I can pull on the threads here And we have a poof. I can determine the firmness of the that might be good. Because you want a certain amount of firmness, I would imagine. But then also, if it's like on the edges here, it's a little loose. And I think I want this to be a little firmer on the sides. So now I just have this little tiny hole. Oh, this looks like a dumpling. Oh my God, that's adorable. But I can shove more fluff into the hole. I just used some sewing thread, and if I did this again, I would probably use to double it up. It hasn't broken, fingers crossed. But because I'm putting so much tension on it, I feel like a stronger thread, or coarse, stronger thread probably would have been better. Okay, so now this is a much bigger cushion. So there I can do a little bit of an illusion with the camera. Oh, no, not quite. Like that, haha. There, it can sit. So I think this is probably bigger than I needed. So I'm gonna pull out some of the fluff. I think I would rather it be, instead of like spherical, more disc shaped. Yeah, it's a little bit flatter on top. Okay, I'm going to attempt to finish this or secure it. And I think by stitching crosswise, I also found the little knot that I made at the end of my thread is not holding, which I think it's actually nice to pull on both of the strings, but maybe if I try to do a little knot. Okay, I've decided to use a knot. I know it is how to attach fishing line. I think there's another name. And it'll be hard to see on this because it is yellow and it's so fine. But when you have two strings, one is you twist, so one stays straight the whole time. You twist the other one around like three or four times. My end, I go back through. There's a gap here at the beginning of the twists. So it's much more flimsy than fishing line. And I say this like I've done a lot of fishing. I haven't. I just was like, oh, I liked that knot because it'll cinch it. So it's pulled through. And now this loop here where my middle finger is. So we have the twists back, and then our working string comes through that larger loop. And this cinches around that straight one we had the entire time. So I'm going to attempt this again. I'm crossing my fingers that the line holds, or that the thread holds. And it didn't. Okay. Part 2. I'm going to use some embroidery twine. It's multiple plies, and I'm thinking if I just pull it with all, oh, ouch. I just tried pulling with all of my strength. I've made sure that the ending, or where I started, the knot, and my ending are both exiting the outside of my shower curtain thing of the cushion. So take 2. Test it. that. That looks great. Okay. I'm gonna try the fishing hook thing again. Or not the hook, but the knot. So this one's straight. This is my working yarn. I'm gonna loop it around 3 times. I go back through that triangle space. And then here's the big loop. Pull that towards me. I think that did it. So that I can cinch it. Ha ha ha, and it keeps it. Little dance, little dance, little dance, little dance. Oh my God, I'm so happy! It's staying. And that's been, I should look up what that knot is called. I shall put it here on the screen. I'm so happy, it worked. So that works so well that I don't think I have to do anything else. I thought I was gonna have to sew across, but that is holding it. Do a few granny knots. The next step will be covering this fabric over this cushion. Voila, a circle. Oh, way too much clearance. Oh well. So again, oh, it looks, before I go much further, I want to brainstorm and play around with how this is going to secure to this. So I think that's okay why I have the extra yardage, one more, because how does this stay on here? I made the circle a little smaller. So since I want the fabric, flowers, to be very tight, I am going to try some things I've seen on reupholstery. My knowledge is very little, but we're gonna give it a try. Which will allow me to stretch it. So I'm tightening it, right? And it'll allow me to stretch so that it's nice and taut. So I'm thinking, pull it here, sew through, and then maybe do another one. Oh, look at that. Nice little pleat. Now I'm gonna just kind of experiment before I get the needle. Just holding it. That looks good. I like that. Nice and taut. Okay. Woo! Gotta give my fingers a little massage. I can understand why a thimble would be nice to help push the back end of the needle through. I'm just using my nail because it's getting really dense in the center. where I've been stitching repetitively. Okay, we have our little tuffet. That's what I'm calling it. I'm gonna loop or wrap some of the remaining thread around just to really cinch it. I have decided to hot glue it. I think the engineering of using wire was just more than my brain wanted to do today. There is this little lip here that I thought, but actually it might be closer up. I will be sure to use, I think the glue sticks that I have are kind of like, they're just craft glue sticks, and I imagine will peel off from the brass if I pull hard enough. So I'm intentionally not using like super strong hot glue so that when or if the time comes I want to repurpose my little pincushion, I'll be able to pull it off. So the hot glue might not be strong enough. After some brainstorming, I think if I put a wire straight this way and then finagle it in, and maybe do some twisting action, essentially the straight part of the edge, so if my fingers are the edges of the vase, right, it'll prevent it. I'm gonna poke the wire through. Finagle this through. I had to use a large needle to kind of puncture through to make a hole, and got this through. Now we try to get it in. Okay, it worked in theory. Yay, 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 yay. There is a little bit of wiggliness, but the idea that I thought of did sort of work. Let's test it with a pin. Haha, yay, victory! Yay! And since the pin is such a small thing, as opposed to like me using my whole hand, yay, yay. Very happy with how this turned out. I have so many pins that you can hardly see the cute fabric I chose, but that is okay. I can still see it. I like that I chose a fabric that I really, really adore, and so I'll really get to cherish it. It kind of looks like a bouquet of flowers. I'm so happy. Thank you for following along as I made my first ever pincushion, doing a thrift flip with this brass little vase that I thrifted. I love making things. This channel is all about handmade goodies, anything with my hands. So could be sewing, thrifting, styling, woodworking, knitting, all of the above. So if this is stuff you're interested in, please consider hitting that subscribe button. If you enjoy this video, hit the like. It really makes my day. And so until next time, bye.